The four of us are here to prevent the apocalypse. We, and when I say we, I mean everyone in this cabin, can stop it from happening, but only with your help.
Hello and welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you will ever listen to.
Your final bros are here. It's Brian Hopper LaGrosta and Shane the Bolshevik Smith.
And today we are starting M. Night Shyamalan month.
We have gotten off the theme wagon for the last few months.
Yeah.
We have not been pumping out the themes because we've been pumping out more modern horror.
Yes.
And it's been kind of hot.
Yes, it has. So we thought, what better thing to do than do a theme month and start with a modern horror?
Yeah. So we blended Shyamalan month with our modern horror and got Knock at the Cabin.
Yes. And we did technically two of his two most recent because we're also going to do old next. So we're still staying modern for the most part. The only M. Night Shyamalan movie we had touched before this was Signs, correct? I don't think we did any other of his movies. I think Signs was the only one we've done.
I think Signs was the only one.
Yeah. A lot of people love a lot of his work. A lot of people hate all of his work. A lot of people say he relies too heavily on twists. A lot of people say his twists aren't good.
Yeah, he's hit and miss. He's got some he's an idealist, M. Night Shyamalan. This man has got a lot of different types of elements in his movie, from fairy tales to sci-fi to horror. Sometimes you think you're getting a horror movie, you're getting Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
You think you're getting Lady in the Water, and then you end up getting The Happening.
Jesus. M. Night Shyamalan's career can be broken up into three parts. The Strong Open, Signs, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, The Village. Then
Spit.
he got hit by a truck. Because in order, he did Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, and then After Earth.
Yeah.
That is such a rough stretch of four movies.
Why would he do The Last Airbender? Like, why would he ever do that?
Dude, why would he? After Earth was so bad. Do you remember when we watched that?
Yeah, it was criminal.
Yeah. Then I like to call this The Comeback. In order: The Visit, Split, Glass, Old, and Knock at the Cabin.
He's coming back.
Yeah. The only movie in that I just named that isn't that good is Glass.
Yeah, that's true.
But Split, I actually think Split's one of his best movies.
Split's great. Yeah, Split's great. That's a tough series. That's with Split, Glass, Unbreakable, Split, and Glass.
Yes.
Unbreakable is my favorite.
Oh, Unbreakable, yes.
Yeah.
But I actually like Split's like...
Well, Split's more like
see,
a
this is the
horror.
thing. Like, I like Split and Unbreakable more than The Sixth Sense, I think.
Yeah, I mean...
Sixth Sense is excellent, don't get me wrong.
It is. It is excellent. Yeah, it's tough. They're all really good. I like them all, but I can see what you're saying.
I think Unbreakable's my favorite of his movies, though.
It's fucking great, dude.
It's
such
so
a good.
good.
It's such a feel-good movie. I love that movie.
Yeah. But today, we're talking... See, this is the thing. People think we were going to do this month and, like, rag on M. Night.
More good than bad. There really is.
Yeah, we actually... So we did Signs, good. And now we're going to do these, all pretty good. We'll get to his bad. We will, I promise, eventually do The Happening. It has to be done at some point.
Well, it has to happen.
Yeah, I love that.
And then there's... Well, After Earth was not a horror, so that's...
Neither was Lady in the Water or Last
we
Airbender.
we get saved those fucking terrible movies. But we can... Sixth Sense, I don't know. Unbreakable, probably not either.
No.
No.
Split we could do.
Yeah.
Split works as a horror because there's caged women. We could fit that somehow.
That's right. There's caged women.
Yeah. And the Split personality, it has some creepy elements. The whole thing's about the beast coming out. I think we could work that one in. But what we are going to work in is a Knock at the Cabin. And how else do you work that in? Jumping into a spooky pit.
Knocking at the Cabin.
This chair squeaks.
It squeaks like we need a new chair. Knock at the Cabin, released this year, 2023. While vacationing in a cabin, two gays and their very much adopted daughter are intruded by four strangers, claiming one of them must kill another to avoid the coming apocalypse. This film was directed by the great M. Night Shyamalan, stars Dave Bautista as Leonard, Jonathan Groff as Eric, Ben Aldridge as Andrew, Nikki Amuka Bird as, I forgot her name, Rupert Grint as Redmond, Abby Quinn as Adrian, and Kristen Cui as Wen. I literally, legitimately
Name the whole cast.
named the whole cast, but I did forget the one lady's name, which I will
Look up.
now. I will tell you, the girl that's in here, the lady that I forgot her name, she's also Sabrina.
Yeah.
She is technically like the third one in this, like the third one of the four. The fourth one being Leonard. She is also an old. It's the same lady
Wait, who is she?
of color.
Wait, what?
Black
Yeah, Sabrina.
lady.
What about her?
She's also in old.
Oh.
Is
Wow, wait, that was her.
the lady with the seizures.
You're right.
not the lady in the water. The
Lady with the seizures.
The lady on the floor.
The lady on the seizures. You know what? It's funny. I thought she looked familiar, and that's why, because I had just seen her in the movie Old. I feel stupid that I didn't put those two together now. All right,
You're
so
not stupid. You're just a Bolshevik.
yeah, I know it's a real shame. All right, so we're gonna watch the little girl when she's catching grasshoppers, as any psychopath does.
That's true.
And she's gonna be approached by Bautista, aka Leonard. And if this man is approaching me at my age now in a field, I'm scared.
Shane, question for you. As a toddler, sometimes, at least the depiction in Hollywood is kids play with bugs, various earthly creatures. Why'd you start the Korean War?
That's a loaded question, mainly because I wasn't alive yet during it. But
You don't think it could have been retroed, like you in like the idea of Shane Smith call it something?
Nah, I'm gonna say that's incorrect. It's false. It's fake news. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's fake news. Sorry. It's hard to answer a question when I wasn't alive yet for like 40 years.
Okay.
Yeah, you get that, right? You understand.
I try.
Yeah.
I attempt.
You know what?
I deduce.
You did well, but you know who else had attempted something? Leonard attempted to befriend this girl, as he does all the I want to put you in my van things. Is like, hey, I know your parents said don't talk to strangers, but I'm not a stranger. I'm Leonard.
Yeah, he goes for the handshake, which she
Does
complies with.
Yep.
And they start up a conversation, and it seems to be nice.
Yeah.
It seems to be going well. It's very friendly, although it's very, like, weird vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Older man coming to a lady. Because he's approaching with the conversation of, like, some it's almost like a prelude to what's going to happen.
He either looks like he's about to sell them vacuums, or ask if they need to join the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is the joke they make. Even they're like, it's probably Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
Turn the shades down.
Yeah, so essentially, he's basically like, I've come here with some people that are coming. He's like constantly looking behind. You just see like rufflings in the forest keep coming. Me and 3 others are going to come, and we're going to come to your cabin where your family is. And unfortunately, we're hoping that you would listen to us and essentially hear what we have to say, because we have bad news, and we don't want to be the ones to deliver this news. But sometimes something like this has to happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have to come to your house for it to happen.
Yeah. And then she starts to get freaked out because when the big group comes, they literally have weapons. And it's like
Not your traditional weapon.
No, one is like a mace with like a sledgehammer chained to the bottom, and it's like a mallet with like fucking spikes like glued onto the front. They're terrifying.
It's like modern mixed with medieval, but like
Yes. That's actually a really good way of putting it.
created in such a makeshift way that makes it look almost post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
Like the shit you'd be picking up in scraps in Borderlands.
Or Fallout. Like,
Yeah.
like you're beating up the scabs and taking this
And
stuff
people are
up.
just like blending it together with like fucking black duct tape.
Yes.
And fastening these weapons.
There is black duct. Yeah, there's black duct tape on these. So she obviously runs away when she sees these people approaching. She runs to her 2 gay dads, and she's like, there's people coming. We need to lock the doors or whatever. And they're like, what are you talking about? There's like a man. There's Leonard. He's coming. That's how she says it. And she's like, we need to like. So they go inside and they look out the window and they see like these people, and they like lock the door and they start talking through the door. And Leonard's like, I need to come in and talk to you.
Question to you, Shane.
Hit me with it.
Who's a better bug catcher?
Dave Bautista.
Yeah?
He literally just reaches in and snatches one instantly. He's quick. For a big guy catching a bug that fast, I thought I was watching The Collector.
He's a big bug guy.
He's a big bug guy.
It is what it is.
When are we doing The Collection?
We have to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe next sequel September.
We got to close that thread once and for all.
Complete the collection.
Yo, you've been on fire with
I'm
these.
okay.
You're doing pretty good. You're taking my job.
Okay. Yeah, they're having a dialogue because they have the door closed and
Yep.
he sees these people at their front door that are knocking on the cabin.
Yep.
And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't let him in. And then essentially they're knocking like pretty consistently, and they're basically telling them like, with all due respect, like, we not letting you in.
Yeah. And he's like, we're going to come in no matter what. So just let us in peacefully so we could talk nicely and we don't have to do this a different way. So they go to call the police, and obviously the phone lines are cut. And Leonard's like, we had to cut the phone lines. There's no cell service out here, so we knew cutting the phone lines is the one way that you wouldn't be able to get in touch with any of the police.
Mm-hmm.
So then they start barricading doors, locking windows. And while I was watching this, I'm like, I hope this movie doesn't do that thing where they can't get in despite every door being made of glass. I'm glad they didn't. Yeah. Literally, they just start instantly smashing the windows and getting in.
It's an interesting approach. I wonder if they could have took a different approach. Like, I really do. I wonder if they could have taken a different approach to this whole thing.
If they would have knocked on the door first instead of talking to the small child, I think it would have worked. The issue is they had to bring the weapons. And how were they ever going to have a normal talk with the weapons?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a way they could stash it in the car and then go into the cabin, have a conversation, then bring the weapons in.
I think it's because it all comes down to they saw it in their dream this way.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the way they saw it in their dream, which is, I guess, this way,
yeah,
they got to follow through with it if it's prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they eventually break in. They tie the family up to the chairs. They never tie the daughter up. They give daughter free roam.
Yeah, I mean,
she's a small little
They underestimate her.
They do. So they're the one guy, Eric, hits his head, got a concussion.
He's immediately concussed. I guess that's what happens when Mindhunter doesn't get a third season.
I'm telling you, you're on fire. You're on fire. Yeah, he's concussed from the lack of mind on her. He's tied to a chair. They do even do the concussion right, where he's like, can you turn the shades down? My eyes are like sensitive to the sun now because I'm literally bleeding on the brain. And they're like, yeah, we'll do something about that. This is when they have that talk. The talk every parent dreads. The only way to stop the apocalypse is if one of the three of you willingly gives up your life and allows the other two to kill you.
Yep. That's the deal. The apocalypse is coming. It's unavoidable unless, and that's why they're here, one of you has to kill another one.
Yes. We can't do it. None of the four of us can make the kill. You have to willingly kill one of you.
Crazy twist would have been them killing the daughter in some fashion.
I was thinking that for a long time.
They never even toy with that idea.
No. And I thought that was going to be the twist.
I think that would have been interesting. It depends on how they do it.
Yes. But that's not the case.
No, it's not the case. It's not Deal or No Deal. Sorry. That's your game.
I love Deal or No Deal.
I know you do.
I play it at Dave & Buster's every time I'm there.
You have to, though.
You really do. So
Andrew's just the worst.
Andrew?
Daddy Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
There's Daddy Eric.
And then Daddy Andrew. And Daddy Andrew never believes.
Daddy Andrew is the worst. I'm going to keep saying it.
Now, why do you say that?
I could not stand his fucking character.
Is it because even though it was clearly being explained to him, everything that was happening, and actually very well shown to him, he never once believed? I know it's a hard thing to believe the apocalypse is happening, but there's a time and place where, like, planes shouldn't be falling from the sky.
Yeah, like hundreds of planes.
I'll be honest. 100% honest. I wouldn't have believed until the first kill.
So there's ginormous tsunamis. We've seen it before.
Yes.
I think it was like something crazy, and then but the tsunami was the first, right?
Yes.
Then it was like this ginormous COVID ripoff.
Yes.
and then it was the 700 falling planes or something
Yes.
crazy.
If you didn't believe after the first two, I was sold on
These are
700
legitimate
planes.
like plague like of biblical proportions.
And to be fair, Bautista described all of this. Leonard described all of this before any of it was shown. He strictly says, he's like, cities will be flooded. He's like, plague will run rampant. He's like, glass will fall from the sky.
Yeah.
And then he's like, it will rain fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go into it now. I think the best way to do it now is break down how each one happens. So Brian it's Sabrina, it's Leonard, it's Redmond, and Adrian.
Yes.
Okay. So the four of them, they're talking, and they're like, okay, so very simply, we're going to ask you to do this. If every time you say no, we'll start one of these things. So they say no the first time, which, like I said, I think I would have said no to in the first instance because nothing has happened yet. This I wasn't expecting.
Well, I mean, like, they're also asking to kill the partner, and the deal is actually like, the deal is interesting because it's not like we're all gonna die. The deal is actually like everyone's gonna die, but you guys.
Yes,
And
that's
you're gonna
right.
have to walk the earth by yourself, knowing you've made this decision.
Yeah.
So it's actually, depending on the type of person you are, it's a pretty shitty deal, but like,
If you don't like people, it's a great deal.
it's a great deal. But then again, like, you can forage for food, but then like
There's no food because the burn.
everything is destroyed. You
Yeah.
gotta like you're gonna suffer
Yeah, it's gonna
in
be
more
a
ways
shitty
than one.
exa-
You're probably gonna die. You're probably gonna die of something.
Yeah, it's a shitty way to go. So when they say no the first time, Redmond, he's like, well, it has to be done. So he gets on his knees and he puts a white sack over his face, and the other three pick up their weapons and bash him over the head with them. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was not expecting that
I'm like,
route.
what the fuck is going on
Yeah.
here? I thought they were gonna kill them, and
That's-
I'm like, what?
And that's when I was like, that's when for me, I started picking up that these weren't people. They might just be
Yes, when there was 4 of them and they mentioned the word apocalypse to me, I'm like, 4 horsemen.
yeah. Especially when they sacrifice one and that's what starts the first leg of the apocalypse. I'm like, literally, so these were people, but these people have been taken over to present, to start the apocalypse.
Yep, these 4 people who had shared visions, who came together
Mm-hmm.
with very strong, very shared
Visions.
that were very vivid.
They were
and
identical.
very clear and identical.
Yeah.
And the way they presented it to these 2 people actually was like pretty scary.
Yes.
'Cause it sounded like, you hear the cult speak, but this was pretty legit.
Yes. Well, because they're like, oh, this is a cult. They're recruiting us for a cult. And they're like, no. Like, you just, like, one of you has to die. And
Yeah, I guess I hated Andrew so much because, like, yes, he just kept saying no, but I feel like he was saying no more of just, like, out of principle at a point.
yes.
Like, he was saying no because he constantly, like, because they were gay, they were obviously, like, primary targets, like victims. He kept referring to them as targets. Yeah. He thought they were targets because because Redmond apparently, like,
attacked them
at a bar and is not really named
Which
Redmond.
is why I think he went by the different name, is he didn't want to scare them by them remembering who
He
he
went by
was.
Redmond and not O'Bannon. Yeah, but it's interesting that they chose O'Bannon to come this route. I think that was definitely intentional by whoever gave the vision
Yes.
to...
Which I guess I don't know the lore of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Maybe they are actually entities and they just embody people to start the apocalypse, which is, I think, the idea this movie is taken, is that the 4 horsemen have actually just embodied these 4 people. Yeah, so Redmond's the first to go, though. He gets murdered, and as soon as he's like, okay, Batista's like, now tune in. He turns the news on, and you see the tsunami hit, and then he's like, keep watching. And then a bigger one hits, and like the cities flood, and you see the huge wave. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're right.
Yeah, I thought they were right. Like, I think I know the trend. Like, a lot of, like, previous movies, I feel like that more went the line of, like, presenting the supernatural element, but, like, it ultimately caving in.
Yeah.
But now it's, like, almost like a preposterous idea, but it actually comes true.
Yes.
This is more lines of, like, they beat you over the head with the fact that it's real, and it's real.
Yes, and that's what I like, though. They don't beat you over the head that they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. They just beat you over the head with facts that this is like actually happening.
Yeah, and I think so. The big primary argument Andrew has, beside it being, let's just be honest, a ludicrous idea at first hearing it, is that Leonard keeps checking his watch. Why do you guys keep checking your watch? And then they keep telling him because I think the idea is like our visions are so vivid, we're almost like on a
schedule.
Schedule, yeah. And
he tries to be like, you knew this news was going to be on at this time. You knew this happened 4 hours ago.
But how is that possible? Like, there's different timelines.
I know. He's trying so hard to rationalize something that, like,
it's impossible to actually.
I know.
And the point can't be made.
Like, my thing, and it's like, man, it's so hard to believe this because, like, think about it. We live like this every day, regular life. To have 4 people just tell you the world's going to end at this point, it is hard to believe. But man, are they convinced? Maybe I'm just easy to convince to join a cult. But man, do they sell it?
I think he has like this really big victimhood mentality where just like he thinks he's constantly being like targeted or bullied,
but he's not.
But he's not. Like, they're trying to, like, literally save everybody.
Like, even when they show him in the bar, he's very aggressive to the guy asking him to be quiet.
Yes, he's
the guy's an asshole.
The idea is like he's a drunken redneck asshole, which he kind of was because he cracked a bottle over his head.
But he handles that situation so wrong. If he would have just...
He's a fucking rude.
Yes, if he would have not antagonized the guy, which Eric even says at the bar... could have been avoided.
Yeah, I just don't. His character's kind of arrogant.
Yes.
But yeah, so like he just, no matter what, like has to be right. He has to kind of find some kind of loophole to present himself as the alpha, not the bullied. But
after the first kill, Wen like sneaks out. I'm just gonna gloss over this because nothing really comes of it. Wen sneaks out. Leonard catches her, just brings her back. He's like, "Don't do this. We can't." This is when they talk about, I think Redmond's real name was O'Bannon. He's the guy who attacked us at the bar. This is why they're like, go look at his ID. His name's not Redmond, it's O'Bannon. And Leonard's like, it doesn't matter what his name was.
Yeah, like, it really doesn't.
Like, this is what's happening. Then we get some backstory on all of them. We learn Leonard is a teacher in Chicago.
Touching.
We learn Sabrina is a ICU nurse. We learn Adrian is a line cook. And it's her turn. She's like, look, something I didn't say is I have a son. And it's like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I was protecting my son. And listen, I'm next to go. I'm the next to be sacrificed. If you say no, like, my son doesn't have anyone. Like, I know I'm asking you a big thing, but you have to do this to not only save the world, but save me and my son. And instantly, Andrew's like, no. And Eric's thinking about it. And I like how I gave Eric a concussion. Because it's the one time where you're like, is Eric concussed? Or is Eric actually thinking, yes, rationally and changing his thought?
He does, like, take the time away to, like, go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And come back. I know when he comes back, he's just like, I'm sticking with my family.
Yeah.
But it's like, it makes you think, like, he is the character that could tilt, whereas the other one is steadfast.
And it stays that way. And I think a lot of times Eric almost feels peer pressured by Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's just like more of the alpha. He's just like more of a domineering personality.
Yes. So obviously they say no. The cook is then murdered, executed. Then they turn on the news, and this is when we see this deadly virus. And they're like, the plague, the virus is spreading rapidly. It's murdering children ages 10 and under at like an alarming rate. And then Andrew's like, this is all pre-planned. He's like, you knew this virus has been around for a while now. It's like, you knew this was going to be. He's like, it's pre-taped. He's like, it doesn't even say live in the corner. It doesn't say live in the corner.
He's ridiculous. But the thing is, like, the reason why I don't like his character so much is because he continually says the same shit over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's so bad. So Wen had gotten a knife for Eric, and he's like cutting it now at this point, and Andrew's almost gotten his like hand out from underneath. So they do escape like right after Leonard takes away Adrian's body, and Andrew runs to the car to get the gun because they do have a gun in the car. And
he does mention that. He does have a gun in the car.
And Sabrina just starts stabbing him in the leg with like her weapon as he's trying to get the gun.
Yeah. But he does get the gun.
Yeah.
And then he points it at her.
And she just runs off.
Dashes into the woods.
Mm-hmm. So he goes back in. He's going to help his family. He has the gun pointed at Leonard. And Leonard's like, you have to make a choice. He's like, are you going to do this? He's like, no. Sabrina runs in and he shoots her.
Right in the gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, Leonard's like, you've made your choice. And I love how he still backs her head and hits her.
Because I think that's...
It has to be done because it's part of the vision.
No, that's what my only question was. Like, the sacrifice wasn't made in that way. She died. But I guess he still had to...
Finish the ritual.
Finish that ritual, yeah.
That's how I took it too.
He was definitely dead, probably.
I thought so. I thought he just had to like... It's almost like the nail in the coffin, so to speak. Yeah. To start it, to kickstart. And at this point, it's really upsetting that Andrew doesn't believe, because now when he turns the TV on, the planes are falling from the sky.
That is so disturbing.
600 planes. Planes hold what? Like 400 people? Or
some planes hold, yeah.
Even, yeah,
some
right?
planes might hold more.
Yeah. And so I'm not a math guy.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's tens of thousands of people falling from the sky. And then the real kick in the balls to this whole thing is then Leonard is saying the words that the news reporter is going to say before she says it.
Which is crazy.
It's unless they have paid this news reporter to know this and say this is not possible.
And the tone, like Leonard's tone is so like, his demeanor is surprisingly suppressed and calm.
Yes.
Like throughout the whole movie.
And that's what I was saying. Or he's scary. Sometimes being that nice is almost scarier than being aggressive.
Because it's like the load and the strategy he has to apply, because he knows it's a preposterous idea.
Yes.
But he wants to not only form enemies, he's going the strategy of like, I want to form friends to build understanding.
Yeah.
But it's a colossal claim. It's a colossal, idea that like you have to essentially kill the person you love in the world the most.
Yeah. It's crazy. And he does his best to sell it. So they still obviously don't believe him.
Yeah, and he has all this wealth of information that and knowledge that he just cannot impart to them without like, he just can't. Like, he can't physically give them this information. He has to display it through like everything he's saying, and like somehow make it believable.
It's crazy that like he is not being believed.
But even his evidence that he's showing after each one of them dies via TV is not enough. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it's like, you're right. Andrew's a frustrating character.
He's really frustrating. He started just babbling about the same reasons over and over and over, and I'm like, dude, give it up. But the other guy was like he's the more interesting character. He's always on the verge. But oh my god!
Because then he says he saw something in the mirror.
Saw a figure in the mirror. Yeah,
which I always took as the spirits of the horse, like the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Like those are what's embodying these people at this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like he sees like them, but like the
almost like these people are the puppets, and he sees like the puppeteers in the shadows.
Yeah.
So they lock Leonard in the bathroom, which this also pissed me off, because if you're at this point of not believing, why are you leaving this hulking man who can overpower you with his fucking pinky alive?
Yeah, and I love it because there's like this little like window, it's like a circle that they hear is completely cracked out, and they open the door and they see that it's cracked out. And I'm just thinking about this hulking man.
I'm like, there's no fucking way. It's literally impossible. So thank God he shoots the curtain in the bathtub, and he shoots him, but he still jumps on him from the bathtub.
He misses, right?
No, he's bleeding.
Oh, he gets him?
That's where the blood was coming from, I thought. Because he's bleeding from the rest of the movie. I thought he got him like in the shoulder.
Oh, maybe he did. I didn't even know he got him.
Yeah, I thought so. I could be wrong, like I said. Wow. That blood could have also been from like Sabrina or something.
He didn't make a noise.
Yeah. He's a hulking man. He has a mission, too. These people are very like.
They're on a mission.
So he overpowers him, and he's like, "Look, like, this is it. I'm not gonna hurt you. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna have one last talk, and that's it." Because he's like, this needs to be done outside. So he sits in a rocking chair, and he's like, "I'm gonna ask you one last time. Are you gonna do it?" And Eric wants to say yes so
He's
bad.
Like, please, let's do it.
It's like
Not
Eric's
much
like,
more.
Eric's like, I can't have this on my conscience to end the entire world.
Andrew's like, nah, I can.
Yeah. And Bautista?
Like he doesn't even put up a fight.
No.
Literally. Like he knows he's gonna say no, so he's like, you guys have a few minutes after I go, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So he just takes it's a cleaver, right?
It's a cleaver yeah, it was a cleaver. It wasn't.
Yeah. And then he just
Cuts his throat.
I feel like it was so calm.
Yeah.
Just cuts his throat. And he just sits back and dies.
In the rocking chair while rocking.
Dies in the rocking chair.
It's so dude, it's crazy because like when I think of Shyamalan's bad work, and then I think of the way he filmed all these scenes, dude, like, man, I wish he could always deliver like this.
Yeah.
It's so good when he's good.
It is so good when he's good. And I'm surprised, too, because, like, you think, like, it's a lot to, like, have Bautista, like, be your lead. Like, he's like, I need that character has to be a strong character, a character that puts on a very believable, convincing performance, and he crushes it.
Yeah. So, like, a lot of people have brought this up recently, not just, like, our friends, but just on the internet. It's, like, 3 big guys from WWE have gone to Hollywood. The Rock, John Cena, and Bautista. And it's crazy how much better at acting Bautista is compared to both of them.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like, this movie...
Like, Bautista's actually an actor.
Yeah. This movie kind of cemented him as easily the best wrestling actor.
Because, like, he can do any role. Like, he's hilarious in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just a good talker. Like, he monologues so much, and it's convincing and well done.
No,
and
he's phenomenal. But the thing is, like, even in WWE, he was never like a big promo guy.
No, exactly.
He was always like
the muscle.
He's been champion for several, but like he never was like. You're right. He was the muscle to the champion. Usually. And
then he became champion, and even when he was champion, I never thought of him as this great promo,
just a heavyweight.
Yeah, but man, like it clicked, and he's so good in movies.
Yeah. He's just a really good talent.
Like,
he was one of my favorite wrestlers.
I love John Cena as a comedic actor. I think in comedy, and see, The Rock I liked at the beginning. Now The Rock has just gotten. I'm just tired of seeing him play The Rock.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's always The Rock.
Now, like back in the day, like when he was doing like The Rundown or like The Tooth Fairy, then he would do a movie like Fast and the, like it was different styles. Now he's just like muscle guy in movie.
Yep,
it's boring. Like. That's why I like Bautista stepping out of his comfort zone. He literally wears a fucking button down with glasses the entire movie, and it's awesome.
It is awesome. You love Bautista.
Bautista was great. I actually saw him at a pay-per-view when he was on his Bautista run.
Incredible.
It was. I think it was Extreme Rules at Prudential Center.
God, who would have guessed?
I know.
Incredible.
But yeah, so once he's dead, they go into the cabin. And lightning is just striking trees everywhere, and there is fire everywhere.
Their house is on fire.
Yeah. And Eric's like, you know what? I accept it. Let it be me.
And they have like a heartfelt moment.
Yeah. And Eric's like, he's like, and he says it. He's like, I think I've known for a while that this was real.
Since they saw the figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Andrew... probably still doesn't believe. Well, he probably still doesn't.
He says the most selfish thing in the world. He's like, I'd rather walk the earth with just our family than save everyone. And I'm like, oh, so this, I think the point of this movie wasn't for us to guess whether like this was real. It's just like, how much of an asshole can Andrew be?
I know. And he does say like, he does love. It's very clear like he loves his husband because he wants to like.
Yes.
He does admit like I'd rather me go than you.
Yes.
But I still rather walk the earth if it's just us three. If I'm being honest. But yeah. So I mean, inevitably they keep having this conversation, but like Daddy Eric.
Yeah.
Mindhunter season 3.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Yes.
Ultimately decides they don't show it, but you hear it from the outside. It's gone, and then they go out to the car.
It starts raining.
Yeah.
Puts out all the fires. They don't go in their car. They have to walk down the road to get to the other car because their tires were slashed. And this is what I was saying off the air.
Cool.
I love this scene.
It's a great scene.
Because they go into the car and they each have a knapsack, like a little backpack, and they pull out a picture of Leonard's class, all the signatures. They see Sabrina's nurse ID. They see Adrian O'Bannon's tag for his job, which he said he had, and
gas station.
Yep, and Adrian's picture with her and her son, and it's like these people were they. Besides O'Bannon lying about his name, did not lie about a single thing.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that these were real people who just happened to be controlled with these visions.
Yeah, I think that the O'Bannon was so intentional because that character is something that triggered his past, Andrew, and it would be the hinging factor.
It's almost like a test.
Yeah. It was the hinging factor, and he thought it was just more of oh, now they're coming to target us. I know that's the case.
And this is the one thing where Andrew rationalizes it well. He's like, Leonard said he was a bartender. What if he was the bartender at the bar where O'Bannon attacked me? Because he said he bartends at night. And he's like, what if the ICU nurse is the nurse I went to see that night and I didn't notice? And I'm like, okay, you're kind of making sense with this
putting
part.
Stuff together, yeah.
But then literally planes start falling from the sky, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah,
never mind.
Putting things together, yeah. That you're right. That's more deductive stuff.
Yes,
for sure.
But they go to that little diner, and they see
everybody's looking at the TV,
and the planes are not are good. Planes have been landing fine. The plague subsiding. The coast has washed back out, and they stop the apocalypse. And I love the fact there wasn't a twist. I do like the fact it was a straightforward apocalypse movie.
A straightforward Shyamalan movie.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for a movie that you knew exactly kind of where it would go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Sometimes predictable works.
It did for this case because I'm if this is the prophecy, then it should just literally carry on as expected. If, you follow what you say to follow.
Some movies don't work if you try to make it different for the sake of being different. This movie didn't need a twist that they were all in a cult or something like that. Then it's kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something cool about it being the apocalypse.
And I think the burden that these four, they had was pretty much almost, we don't even care about ourselves. We know the burden that we have. So even if we're the ones that are going to get sacrificed, if they could eventually make that jump to make the move to kill one another, then at least everyone that we're leaving behind is going to be okay.
And it's such a good contrast to Andrew's character.
Yeah.
These four were willing to bludgeon themselves in the head to save the world, and Andrew wasn't willing to sacrifice him or his husband to save everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting, and it's very well done, and I think this was the perfect way to start off M. Night Shyamalan month.
It is. So knocking on the cabin.
Yes. So with that said, I'm going to give this movie a very strong 7 out of 10. I considered 8 for a while. I'm like, I don't know. It could have been. I think 7. I think I'm being fair with a 7. I like it, man. Bautista was my favorite part of the whole movie. I think he was the best actor for this movie. Not that he's the best actor of all of them, just for this movie, his character was perfectly written for it. It was great. All the apocalypse people they played their roles well.
Yeah.
The little girl actor was great. I thought Wen was great in this movie.
Yeah, I think everybody's good. Like I said, Andrew, I think he's a little over the top.
Yeah, but I think that's the point.
Yeah, I think they're all good. I love Batista's big guy, warm soul.
Soul, yes. It also, when you actually see the picture with him and the kids and it's all signed, you're like, man, he really was just this warm, kind man.
Yeah. I mean, O'Bannon, a.k.a. Redmond, a little rough around the edges.
But that plays off to the fact that the only time they outwardly say the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, when they say he was malice.
Yeah.
He was kindness. He was nurture. She was nurture. They say that Eric says that, right?
Eric makes the
comparison to it. And that's
guidance to
guidance,
Bautista.
yes. And that's why I like what you said. They don't beat you over the head with it. They let you guess. They give one explanation of who each of them are in case you don't know. Because to be fair, I didn't know what the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, what each characteristic was of each. So I kind of like that they say it was like guidance, nurture, stuff like that.
There's also like they made a reference to like when they were going through the whole like because they showed some flashbacks in the beginning.
Yeah.
And when they were going through the process of the like the orphanage stuff,
Yeah.
they were talking about like Andrew was like mentioned like you're gonna have to pray because like more of like he would be more of like a skeptic versus the believer and
Yes.
like so it was interesting how that kind of does
Played
play
into
out.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, 7 out of 10, and then I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I'm at 7 too. I really enjoyed this. It was I kind of like after seeing old and like even The Visit, like some of his newer stuff, I like them a lot, but I think I like this one more than those.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm probably going to give The Visit the same rating as this one, but this one is a better movie still.
I agree with you. No, I like The Visit too, and that deserves a high rating as well.
Yeah.
I just like this movie a lot because it was just such a breath of fresh. It was so different.
Yes.
I'm like, what am I getting? Another cabin home invasion movie? Like that's just like so played out in the 2010s. Like I've seen like a million of those, but it was so fucking different.
Yeah.
And like I said, we both said like this movie was absolutely predictable, and if they would have actually made it like a twist to make it less predictable, it would have hurt the movie.
Yeah.
Like he actually just did a really good job playing a reverse Shyamalan.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it was solid. But yeah, no, hats off to everybody. The 4 horsemen, I think,
Great.
were phenomenal. Bautista was just absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. All right. So now, obviously, we go to a little necro talk. I think, I'm undecided. I love the first kill with Redman because it really sets the tone. But then I also love the last one with Leonard because it's so calm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to choose the opening that really sets the tone or that final. Like what were you leaning? Or were you not even leaning towards either of the two?
You raised 2 good ones. I would be leaning to one of those. I was probably gonna say,
it's tough.
Like the calming of Bautista is just it's so nice, but I gotta go Redman only because
it sets the tone of the whole movie.
What an absolute tone set! You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Okay, so that is actually the biggest plot twist of the whole movie. I never thought they were going to start killing themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like really thinking that Redman one, like, whew.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Redman.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm with it. Redman, you were Malice. You had the hammer of dawn. You were the angst you were the teenage angst of the group. You're out here smashing bottles over people's heads. You're the reason they were skeptics in the first place. Yeah, you changed your name so they wouldn't know you were. I'm gonna actually just go off of you though. It feels good to see Ron Weasley back in film.
Rupert Grint is back in action.
I loved it. I thought he did really well in this movie. We just talked about tone setting kills with like the menu. This is right there with it. Great tone setting kill. Just for that Necronomicon. Hot. Hot bad.
Coming in hot, Rupert Grint.
All right.
What do we got going on next?
Next week, we are going to stay in the modern theme of horror. We're going to do old.
So that would be his last movie.
His last movie, yeah.
Before Knock at the Cabin.
Yes, this is a 2021 vehicle, as our other podcast mate Mike G would say.
Hey, you can check it out. HBO Max, right?
This one would, yeah. So Knock at the Cabin was on Peacock. Old is on HBO Max.
Yeah, give it a watch. And then we'll talk next week.
Yeah. So we are the final podcast signing off, and we will see you next week where we try to understand what most of the characters are trying to say.
Yeah, it's rough sledding for a while. Yeah, we're the final podcast, new episodes of our show every Monday, and we review low-budget movies every Friday. So we will see you next Monday for more M. Night Shyamalan month. It's August. We're happy. See you next week.